Thank you so much, Jessica. That was between you and Bridget to just ground us in this being a today problem. I the the fact that you mentioned that illegal child labor is a today problem, I think has to really be something that we take away from tonight, that this is not a 100-year-old problem. And it's I really appreciate you just naming it and the work at the US Department of Labor to address illegal child labor. I'd love to welcome our panelists now, and let's bring our panelists in, and let's do some opening questions. First, let's welcome David Wild. David is currently a professor at Brandeis University. He has previously served as the Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division Administrator as well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, David.
Thank you. Great to be
And
here.
then wonderful. Let's also welcome Kent Wong. Kent is project director for labor and community partnerships and former director at the UCLA Labor Center. He was a founding president of the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance and the founding president of the United Association for Labor Education. And he is currently vice president of the California Federation of Teachers. Welcome, Kent.
Thanks very much. Great to be with you.
And I'd like to welcome Jack Kearns. Jack Kearns is a policy advocate at the UCLA Labor Center and a recent graduate of UCLA with a master's degree in public policy. One of Jack's projects as a graduate student researcher included researching the rise of child labor violations and the push to weaken child labor laws around the country. Welcome to you too, Jack.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for all of you being here. The first question, Jessica, I'd love to go back to you to just talk about the magnitude of the problem, of this today problem of illegal child labor.
Yeah, and again, you're exactly right. This is something that we have all got to refocus on, unfortunately, because this is a today problem. You may have heard since 2019, the Department of Labor, we've seen about an 88% increase in the number of children employed in violation of federal child labor laws. And so that, again, that's what we found, which means that that is based on us conducting investigations of employers and identifying illegal child labor. I think it's really important that you know that part of the work of the Wage and Hour Division is that we go to workplaces where we believe that violations are most likely to occur. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you can extrapolate in terms of sort of prevalence of this happening. But you can know that the U.S. Department of Labor, the Wage and Hour Division, we are investigating every tip, referral, complaint, and as well as ensuring in all of our other cases related to minimum wages and overtime that there is also child labor compliance. So we very much prioritize looking for child labor. So far in this administration, we've found more than 15,000 children employed in violation of federal child labor laws. And that includes children who are working in hazardous occupations, right? So we talked a little bit about, Bridget talked a little bit about that, and just want to put a little bit fine point on it. Just in 2023, which is the most recent final fiscal year that we have information for, we did find over 500 children that were employed in those hazardous occupations, in those workplaces where kids should never be employed in the first place. And so I just think that the scope of the problem, frankly, is something that should make us all think about how we can intervene, how we can protect kids, how we can think about how this might be happening in our communities.
Thank you so much. And are there more prevalent occupations or industries where we're finding these violations that we should all be aware of?
Yeah. So again, I would like to say that this is isolated, but it is not. We are actually finding children employed in a violation of federal child labor laws across every type of industry. where we see, hi Randy, every type of industry where we are conducting investigations. And so I think one of the things that's really important for us to think about is we did a really big case about a year and a half ago where we found more than 100 children being employed in violation of federal child labor laws, cleaning the kill room floors at meat processing plants across 8 different states, 13 different companies. So I think it's really important that we know that people knew that these kids were going to work in these workplaces. And so we are seeing children, we're seeing violations in restaurants, grocery stores, retail businesses, and amusement and recreation establishments where kids can be employed safely, but they're working too many hours, or they're working on days when they shouldn't be working, or they're using equipment that they can't be using, like cooking or using baking equipment. And then we're also seeing children employed in hazardous occupations, driving vehicles, power machines, those kinds of things. But I think what I'm really focused on, and I know that the folks on the panel are really focused on, and we hope that everybody will help us focus on, is when children are being employed in meat and poultry meat and poultry packing and processing, construction, manufacturing jobs. This is where we are seeing really detrimental impacts on kids. And again, unfortunately, we are seeing children falling from roofs. We are seeing children who are being crushed by vehicles and equipment. And we even had a child who was employed in a sawmill in Wisconsin and was killed based on the injuries that they suffered in that workplace. So this is happening right now, every day, and we're really, really concerned about it.
Thank you. It's such a stark reminder of those signs of exploitation of child labor that Bridget gave us in her Child Labor 101 presentation, right? Those of us who care so much about young people in our lives, whether we are educators or healthcare professionals or public employees in our libraries and our rec programs and everything else, to be just looking for those absences, patterns of late arrival, that sleepiness that students may suddenly exhibit, or that sudden drop of grades or loss of focus. And then really, to your point of some of these egregious examples you at the Department of Labor are finding, those injuries like burns or bruises or cuts that suddenly are showing up, that again, our healthcare providers, our school nurses, others may be aware of. Stitching all of this together really shows how important it is for caring adults to step up and lead in this position. And